Thanks AOS ARC for allowing me in. And I'm definitely for sequential bilateral cataract surgery, but I'd like to have a delayed sequential bilateral cataract surgery. Let me offer a scientific explanation for doing this. What are my concerns with ISBCS? It's bilateral endophthalmitis, bilateral TARS, bilateral cystoid macular edema, in case we have missed out on the macular evaluation, or something which can even occur postoperatively de novo. And we are unable to get the refractive insight from the first eye, and decreased reimbursement for physician in certain healthcare systems. These are a collection of reports, scientific reports, papers which have been published of bilateral endophthalmitis which have occurred after ISBCS. Obviously, the numbers are small, and almost all these reports were secondary caregivers where the endophthalmitis has occurred somewhere else, and the patient has gone elsewhere for the treatment. So obviously, just because the numbers reported are less, that does not mean there is no occurrence, because many of them might be going under the radar. Getting bilateral endophthalmitis after bilateral cataract surgery is nothing to be proud of, and nobody is going to be talking much about it. So obviously, this does occur, and these are some of the pictures that I've taken out of the papers that were published. Leave alone statistics, leave alone numbers. I do not want to face this kind of a situation even once in my professional lifetime, especially nowadays, now that we are talking about prelex, talking about patients with 6/6 vision. Obviously, even if one patient in your entire professional lifetime ends up with a situation like this, that's totally unacceptable. Let us look at a scenario, a reported case, 80-year-old Parkinsonism patient with dementia and cataract, preoperative visual acuity of 20/50, 20/60. He was from Northern California, but for reasons went over to Mexico, where an uncomplicated in-the-back single-piece intraocular lens surgery was done. And night after the surgery, the patient was found in the restroom, confused and covered in his own stool. Maybe it was a matter of convenience for him to go over, save cost cutting, and then a demented patient for him to travel, etc. is a difficulty, and that's why perhaps the bilateral cataract surgery was done. But imagine his plight. It was initially diagnosed as TARS, subsequently underwent vitrectomy on the first postoperative date, diagnosed as Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and was shifted to Northern California for a repeat vitrectomy, ended up with bilateral phthisis without pain. Obviously, as somebody who started out with 20/50, 20/60, and a Parkinsonism dementia is a terrible state to be in. You might say it's anecdotal, but we do not want to face this kind of a situation ever again. Obviously, we are a population of 1.3 billion, and we cannot escape from the fact that community ophthalmology would continue to deliver cataract eye surgery. And obviously, these patients are not too well educated, hygiene is not so good, and on and off we hear about cluster endophthalmitis. Imagine a cluster endophthalmitis occurring in a scenario where bilateral cataract surgery has been occurring. Leave alone the harm that will cause to that particular practice, I believe the whole world of ophthalmology will be in turmoil. The other factor I will be concerned about is bilateral TARS that can set in. Obviously, less devastating than bilateral endophthalmitis, but equally of concern, and sometimes it could lead on to significant visual morbidity bilaterally. And at the other end of the spectrum, in case you're dealing with premium intraocular lenses, then refractive insight from the first eye for optimizing refractive outcomes after bilateral surgery is almost always lost. It's every patient of mine, whether it's monofocal or multifocal, I always counsel for second eye surgery. I tell them that it is second eye surgery which is going to give you best possible vision. Look at a scenario like this. These are all screenshots of my actual patients. Underwent LRCS with Symphony multifocal and excellent vision for distance and intermediate, but required a +1 diopter for the near vision. Obviously, unhappy patient. So we went ahead and implanted a Technis +4D in the other eye. Mix and match. Look at this scenario where you find that what was required was a +0.5 diopters. So in this situation, we just did a mini monovision, titrated the power of the eye in the second eye so that bilaterally implanted, they did well. Another case, you see EDOF toric multifocal that has been implanted, but again, there is a somewhat inadequate near vision in the unhappy patient because +1 diopter. So the second eye goes ahead and receives a toric trifocal lens, which obviously optimizes the kind of outcome that this patient has. And coming to the reimbursement as such, 100% for the first eye and 50% for the second eye is what is there in the US. In Japan and Israel, no reimbursement of the second eye. In most countries, when bilateral surgery is done, reimbursement of the second eye is somewhat less. Maybe it's not so in India because it's not widely practiced. But once it becomes a norm, obviously insurance companies are going to look into the reimbursement. And what's our last of my slide? What is our protocol when we do delayed sequential bilateral cataract surgery? Patient walks in for a complete evaluation, discharged soon after the first eye surgery, reviewed a week later, and evaluated, or at the same time the second eye is operated. And only if there is a doubt about the outcome in the first eye, any tests are done. And the patient goes back and comes back only for glass prescription bilaterally a week or 6 weeks later, if at all is needed. We have cataract cowboys, I think, with the only need for bilateral surgery is for the economics of the doctor. So, Ganesh, you are an excellent surgeon. Patients are always going to come back to you for the second eye surgery. Don't worry about it. Keep the patient's concern as your primary concern. Thank you so much.